Hey there everyone, this is Michael Zugo, the Nootropic Reviewer, sharing with you in this video my 8-year experience of taking modafinil. I've used modafinil, armodafinil, adrafinil. I'm going to share with you the benefits, the side effects, and how I use it now after 8 years of going on and off. And it's not really my fault because modafinil is horribly inconsistent. First, let's talk about the major benefits, my favorite being motivation. Your work ethic is so high using modafinil. And that's the reason why people use modafinil and they can get awfully addicted to it because of the fact that you are not procrastinating, your concentration is there. And it's very interesting given that you can just take one serving of modafinil first thing in the morning and experience that effect throughout the whole course of the day. Whereas other popular supplements for motivation, including caffeine and L-tyrosine, you kind of feel them for a couple of hours, but then afterwards the effect wears off and leaves you kind of in a more demotivated state where you're experiencing brain fog and all kinds of negative side effects. So the motivation is definitely there. However, your judgment is going to be a little bit impaired. So what you want to do is you want to kind of list out all your priorities and all your tasks that need to be accomplished the day before you use modafinil. Because after you ingest modafinil, that's it. For the rest of the day, in most cases, your judgment is kind of impaired. So you want to go ahead, make your priority list and your to-do list during the time when your judgment is good. And that's obviously going to be best in a state where you haven't ingested modafinil and you haven't ingested many stimulants. So you can, of course, be logical and better plan things out. Now, my other favorite benefit is more energy. It's incredible. Not only physical energy, but mental energy. You will find that your concentration can maintain such a good level because of the fact that tasks aren't as cognitively draining. It's like you'll go throughout the first half of the workday. Typically, we get a little bit tired. Our concentration does diminish to some extent, but not when you're in the state of modafinil, when you're modafinil up. It's like every task that you're doing is giving you more and more confidence for you to go ahead and just work the whole night. And it can be horribly addicting for that reason. And that's the reason why you need, of course, set some boundaries as far as when's the workday going to actually finish, because it can result in you having a pretty negative day there afterwards. So I like the motivation, love the energy. It's a game changer. For example, I use modafinil today and I have no issue whatsoever setting up all this camera equipment, making multiple videos and content batching. That's kind of what you can do. And the third major benefit from my experience would be the improved mood. It's like you can take your baseline mood and improve it. That's kind of how it feels after you ingest modafinil. You can do a lot of work, but because, of course, you're in that stimulated state that you likely experience after you've ingested some coffee, for instance, that's how it feels throughout the whole course of the day. So it's pretty positive. You feel courageous. You feel optimistic. Tasks that you dread, you suddenly won't dread them anymore. Just simple errands like taking out the garbage or doing house chores, for instance. You don't mind doing them, and that's kind of one issue with modafinil. It will make you like all kinds of work. It will make you forget about the work that you're truly passionate about, because with modafinil, you are simply happier. You'll enjoy your workouts. You'll notice that music sounds a lot better. You look forward in a lot of cases to meeting family members, meeting friends. You feel in a good state of peace, love, joy, prosperity, abundance, things that typically fear you don't fear you as much as they normally would. And the fourth major benefit, I don't know if it is a benefit, but better multitasking abilities. You are able to do several things at once. You can listen to an audiobook and also do something else. But what's so is that also comes at a price, because we know that multitasking can be very costly to our cognition and to even just using glucose for fuel. So because of that, you really want to avoid multitasking under the state of modafinil. But if you're somebody that just has to multitask for their job, for example, you're driving as well as taking conversations, which I don't recommend, then modafinil is a pretty good tool that way. Of course, drive safe and be mindful of your modafinil use. But this will pretty much give you the idea of the power of modafinil and why it has been so popular and used. It's because you can do several things at once, and at the end of the day, you have the energy, the ambition, and the drive to get even more work done. Now let's take a little bit of time talking about the side effects, and the most common one that people experience, including myself sometimes, are the headaches. Guys, they aren't a minor headache that can be eliminated by drinking more water, whereas usually that's the case. You can drink some water and the headache will be gone. Now with modafinil, it's like at the side of the head, it's at the back of the head. It doesn't hit you every time you use modafinil. Like I mentioned, it's very inconsistent. Sometimes you'll have a good modafinil experience, but where people experience headaches most commonly is the later portion of the day. Sometimes it happens during the course of the day. If that is the case, then I would recommend that you use modafinil alongside with choline, my favorite being alpha GPC. I'll typically take 150 milligrams of alpha GPC 3 times a day when I'm using modafinil on those modafinil days, as well as hydrating like a lot. But trust that if you don't ingest choline, if you don't drink enough water, you will experience those headaches. And for most people, they're still able to work through it and they're able to get the productive work done. They just have a little bit of a headache. But for a lot of people, the headache is so distracting that, of course, they're not able to get the work done. It really amazes me that people can work through that headache. When I experience it, I personally can't work through it. So I just make sure that I have my alpha GPC, I have my water, I of course have some other supplements that better complement the use of modafinil, and I actually rarely then experience the headaches. But I have found that the other phenol most people are familiar with, adrafinil, does more likely lead to headaches. It leads to further irritability. I haven't found modafinil be anywhere as bad as adrafinil has been. The second negative side effect is that you are anxious. Like looking at the survey here, we can see just where modafinil ranks in terms of supplements that may eliminate anxiety or decrease anxiety versus supplements which increase anxiety. And it's kind of like consuming a stimulant such as coffee or caffeine. It comes with a little bit of anxiety, but it also comes with that energy, with that motivation so that you can get your work done. And at the same time, if you're a little bit anxious, you kind of don't mind it. So this is going to be different for everyone. For some people, they just get so anxious that they are not used to working in an anxious state. If you're one of those people, then of course, stay away from modafinil, stay away from caffeine as well. If you're like me, you don't mind being a little bit anxious, because I'm well aware that I'm more anxious when I'm using modafinil, but you can still work through it. I think that the pros do outweigh the cons, but that's something you want to be mindful of, especially when you're interacting with people. You will find that you're not as resourceful to ask the right questions. I'm not a good listener when I've ingested modafinil. I more so use modafinil on those days when it's showtime, I'm presenting, maybe I'm making videos, because one-on-one in conversations, I can still do okay, but I'm not as good as I typically am. I don't have the emotional intelligence. I can't read people as well. I can't take a break. I can't pause, better mirror and match them. But you'll find that with modafinil, these things can kind of be trained. Like the first 10 to 20 times you use modafinil, you really just don't want to talk to anyone because you feel the anxiety, you don't feel socially comfortable. But the more you use modafinil, the better you get to know yourself and how you can kind of communicate differently with people when you're using modafinil. Like for example, now when I talk to people and I'm using modafinil on the phone, I make sure to just pace around my house. I walk around. It helps me to be a better listener. And so these things do come with experience. Again, modafinil, it's pretty inconsistent. You'll find what's best for you. For me, fortunately, I sell residential real estate. The days are pretty consistent, so I can use modafinil and kind of know what to expect and what work I would have to be done. And there's so many other side effects. If you've ever ingested Adderall, Concerta, Vyvanse, some of those are a little bit similar as far as blunting your appetite, keeping you awake, of course, being impatient with people, and weight loss. That sometimes does happen. I have found that with modafinil. Fortunately, something I like about modafinil versus Concerta was Concerta caused me to have really bad food cravings, whereas with modafinil, that's not the case. I still eat pretty healthy. My willpower is still decent, whereas with Concerta, once you experience that crash in the later portion of the day, that's it. You have no willpower and you want to ingest in those sugary, fatty foods that you know you shouldn't be eating. Fine with modafinil, it's like there definitely is a right way of using it and a wrong way of using it. For example, a wrong way would be using it later in the day. Of course, it's going to keep you up at night. The right way of using it would be taking it early in the morning. I never recommend stimulants or strong supplements in the first half an hour you're waking up. So wait at least half an hour so you can take advantage of that natural cortisol spike that you get first thing in the morning. Then you can use your modafinil. I don't like a very high dose. For me, 75 milligrams to 100 milligrams is good enough. For some people, they use a lot more. Of course, I don't recommend it. I don't think it's safe. It will make your heart rate more elevated than you may expect. So that's a good enough dose for you to see the benefit from. And you'll notice it working because your attention will be there. Your focus will be there. You'll find that you're in a slightly better mood and the energy be there, which typically takes place 1 to 2 hours after ingesting modafinil. And then that's it. It's go time. Expect that for 10 to 12 hours, you to have a pretty good work ethic, and then it kind of die out afterwards, and you more likely being susceptible to some of those negative side effects that we talked about. But what I've learned over the years is that hydration is very, very important when you're ingesting modafinil. So I don't necessarily just mean drinking water. I mean eating water-rich foods, like me having a big bowl of salad or something which is water-rich during the course of the day has really helped my overall like modafinil experience. And you may want to as well consider taking like Gatorade Zero. Some people have a good experience with that. Just ensure that you're getting some salt, some potassium, and that you're not feeling fatigued. And as far as how often should you take it or when should you take it, that's your decision. For me, I'm using it once a week, just that. I was taking it twice a week, but I've noticed actually better results in my business since I've been using it once a week. And what that would look like is a day like today, maybe when I'm making a lot of videos or when I'm flying. I love using modafinil on days when I'm traveling because it gets me through these long flights and these lines and all these big headaches that you typically don't want. And if you did find this information helpful, of course, be sure to subscribe, drop a like, let me know your thoughts on modafinil. I'm going to continue using it, but not as often as I have it in the past. Of course, I do not recommend modafinil. As a matter of fact, never use modafinil unless it's under the direction of your general practitioner. And if you'd like to chat with me one-on-one, you can do so over on Patreon, or you can send me a direct message on Instagram. And don't forget to visit our Discord server where we have a 24/7 chat room. We're answering questions in a time-sensitive fashion and having a lot of fun. I thank you for your interest in nootropics, and I look forward to seeing you all next time.